Okay, hello everybody. So we're circling back to Mono Green Devotion. This is a deck that we played kind of recently, like maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. Oh, and it went pretty well, although our build was pretty different. We were playing Ugin's Labyrinth plus Worldbreaker, so you can imprint either Ugin's Lab or Scion of Draco and make use of an Ancient Tomb in the deck. And I think that the build is still pretty fine, although I think it was kind of clear Worldbreaker was like a little out of place. It did stabilize really hard in a lot of games, and it kind of helped us in a more Tron focused metagame, but also just kind of high on the curve. And Mono Green Devotion is an archetype with a lot of very explosive draws, but it's just very important that you can maintain some consistency. And one thing too about Mono Green Devotion is you have a lot of kind of like air in the deck. You have 20 lands, and here we have eight mana dorks and 4 Leylines, and so it's like when your payoff spells are not like really high impact, it ends up being kind of clunky. Like Worldbreaker ends up being kind of awkward. So I ended up cutting that package, and because we cut the Worldbreaker Ugin's Lab package, I think we want to be back on Rumble over Ancient Stirrings, which has other advantages too, like being able to mill over Fanatic for value, being able to fuel a 6. And I was also kind of like, because the deck has a lot of air in general, I was not liking Kiora as much. I was like usually pretty happy to draw the first copy of Kiora, but basically every time I drew a second copy, I'm like, oh, this is tough. Unless I was doing the combo with Cauldron in the board. So I ended up going way down on Kiora's. Still playing one. I think the first copy is still good, but it's just, and I'm just gonna be happy enough to not really ever have to draw the second copy. But because we're down on World Breakers, and because we want to be really in on Fanatic, and to some extent, this deck is kind of sharing the old Leyline Devotion Enchantress deck, where that deck was playing Sanctum Weaver and Nykthos as big mana engines. This deck is playing Nykthos and Fanatic of Rhonas as big mana engines. And what's cool is you have Scion of Draco as a 2 mana 4 power creature that can both protect your Fanatic if you have Scion, but also just be two mana enabler for it. You have this, but you just don't really have another good 2 mana enabler, and that's what Bristly Bill is trying to do here. Bristly Bill plus a fetch land is 4 power for 2 mana, and not only is it 4 power for 2 mana, it's also a mana sink in your Devotion deck. Again, one big problem with Devotion is flooding, and so having access to a mana sink in Bristly Bill, something that can put just a ton of power into play really quickly, is pretty dang nice. Pretty dang nice. So double roll of mana sink for Fanatic and enabler for Fanatic. And also if with Leyline Scion, Bristly Bill can kill really, really quick. If you go turn 2 Scion, turn 3 Bill, fetch land. If you had like a 1 mana accelerate the next turn, you can activate Bristly Bill and maybe just kill your opponent on turn 4, which is pretty dang nice. Entirely a Karn board with Gigantha, which is kind of the same like Pioneer formula of we're a ramp deck. We don't really need to dilute our game 1 plan very much. Aren't we too fair when we face stuff like Ruby Storm, Necrogoria? Well, to solve that problem, what this deck gets to do is, so I'm going to go turn on Halfling. This is a deck that can cast Karn the Great Creator really quickly, which means you can grab important lock pieces against all of those decks. Against Ruby Storm, you can get Trinisphere. Against Gores, you can get Tormod's Crypt. Against Necro, grab a Haywire Mite, could do a few different things against Necro. Kind of play draw dependent, but being a deck that can power out a fast Karn is usually a pretty good formula. All right, Arid Mesa, basic bounce in Gigantha. Could be prowess. I feel like a lot of times energy is getting a Sacred Founder here, but still also could just be a pretty stock build of energy. Old Devotion strategies, Arbor Elf for potential 4 mana turn 2. Is Halfling preferred for game against control? Halfling is preferred because Delighted Halfling has 2 toughness, baby! 2 toughness! That makes Delighted Halfling a playable modern card. It makes Arbor Elf an unplayable modern card. You're just way too fragile to Orcish Bowmasters, and a few other cards too, like Rin and 6. Also, like, this blocks Ocelot Pride on turn 2. So they find a lightning bolt off Amped Raptor. That cannot hit my Fanatic of Rhonas effectively. It is energy, though. Shout out 4 toughness. Bristly Bill would be an awesome draw here. Instead, we find a Karn. What's simmering? The headache I have with green plus decks. I feel like being too fair if we aren't big mana and can't really run Karn. Yeah, I guess I don't know what kind of deck you're referring to, honestly, or what deck you're referring to. But I agree. There are. I don't know if you're talking about like mono green Stompy from the Japanese tournament or whatever. But yes, you must be able to power out a card really quickly or kill your opponent by turn 4 if you're going to play a modern deck in general, or like you either need to have in modern you need to be fast or disruptive. There really isn't another formula. You have to be a deck that is capable of just killing your opponent really quickly, or you have to be able to disrupt your opponents. There's no way you could register a modern deck that isn't either fast or disruptive. Maybe I should have named a different color on my sprawl so I could try to get explosives on 2 this turn. That might have been good. So okay, so here Fanatic is now online. So if I get a tap land here, I'll have 7 mana, which I could go 6 plus Karn. I could set up for a Scion of Draco being easier to cast. Seems okay. Usually gonna get Ketria Triome because we have a Lush Portico in the deck. But maybe I could get Bridge? I think I'm gonna go 6 plus Karn for Mantle. And this will allow infinite power not only on Fanatic of Rhonas, but infinite power on Bristly Bill and infinite power on the 6 if we draw a land to put a counter on the 6. Twaffle meat with the 4 months to go come back. Appreciate you. I'm surprised Burn isn't doing better with Amtraptor. Is Burn not fast enough anymore? Well, the big problem for Burn is the most popular deck in Modern is Boros Energy or Energy Variants to a lesser degree. This is a deck that is main decking Guide of Souls, that is main decking Ocelot Pride, that is main decking Flage. The energy matchup is like unwinnable for Burn, and it is the most popular deck in Modern. And it's not like Tron with Chalice of the Void, or Goryo's Vengeance with Atraxa, or Storm that is killing you on turn 3 if you don't draw your Eidolon or whatever. It's not like any of these decks are like particularly easy to beat. I'm new to Modern and play Guild Prowess. The deck doesn't really feel all that fast compared to its standard counterpart. Is it apt to say that Prowess is more like a tempo deck in Modern? So if you're new to Modern, you may be unfamiliar, but tempo is kind of a meme to some extent. I think it's lost a lot of like its definition. Um, I would say that I would really only categorize Prowess as an aggro deck. It's an aggro deck that is capable of winning turn 3, turn 2 with some really nutty draws with like mutagenic growth. Um, but you are almost a pure aggro deck when you're playing Boros. But sorry, when you're playing Prowess. But I will say that the identity of okay, and then the Guide of Souls Concede. The identity of tempo is kind of vague. Usually, what people mean when they say tempo is they're kind of talking about decks with cheap threats and counter spells. And so right now, like the tempo deck in Modern is Demir Frog. But I feel like the definition used to be cheap efficient threats, but that's just like if you call it that way, it's like that's every deck basically. I feel that Boros Energy players in Moto play very slowly. I wonder if Boros is just appealing to new players and easy to pilot. I think that that's probably part of it. Yeah. Okay, I mean, this is a turn 3 ring. Can't really mulligan this one. If I'm locked into Boros Energy with Mockingbirds for my RCQ, I know the Gorys will be represented. What should I sideboard for it? Good question. I mean, Graveyard Hate is kind of the short answer. As far as like what that Graveyard Hate is, like I tend to like to play things that are copyable by Mockingbird. And like have like really efficient sideboard cards in that regard. Ooh, that's a beat. I probably getting Triome here. Um. So yeah, but you know, the problem. One thing is like Sanctifier and Vec is like a bit awkward in your deck because of Flage, and I do like Sanctifier like a lot against the Goryo's decks right now because most lists are not playing Ulamog, so people are still playing an Ulamog, but it's also just one. But yeah, you should probably just play some combination of Hearse and Soul Guide Lantern. Wake with the 13 months, take a look back. Yeah, I guess you could maybe play Containment Priest. I haven't really thought about that card too much. Maybe it's a good one. Well, I hope they have a bolt or a discharge. Fanatic maintains. Beefy boy. Solely Hard one deck I thought it looked cool. Is it worth getting? If so, do they play Felia? Cool. I've not seen that card in a while. Yeah, I think Hollow One is not only not only was a good choice. I think is a deck that got a lot better post ban. Is it worth it to play some Felias if I'm playing Containment Priest? It's a bit awkward because you can't flicker your own stuff if you have Containment Priest in play, which in theory is part of the reason why you're playing Felia, is that you have good stuff to flicker. But it would be like, okay, sure. Was hoping to draw a Fanatic or a Scion here so I could go play one of those into the ring. What's some of my favorite build of Is It Wizards of North at the moment? I think I'm still partial to the Otter of Bolas Flare build that we played. I would probably play exactly one copy of Kitsa in that deck. But I do think that deck's still pretty good. I think you might want to main deck some Pyroclasms too. Joe's paid with Twitch Prime. Thank you. Welcome back. Appreciate you. It's not worth playing Feli and Boros at all. Yeah, I also would not recommend main decking this. I think if you play Ranger Captain in your deck, it's a bit more interesting to play like a copy. And there also might, like, you know, if Chalice of the Void ends up becoming like a more common card, which I don't exactly think it is at the moment or anything. But if Chalice of the Void does somehow end up becoming like a pretty popular main deck card, then I do think Felia probably ends up becoming a card you want to main deck. Joe's paid Twitch Prime, you'll get 19. Titles Tracker with the 38. Appreciate y'all. Sanctum Prelate on 2. That's a pretty interesting thought, too. With Nadugon, would I replace Harshman to the sideboard of Link's Arena? So in that deck, I feel like that deck needs a more comprehensive energy sideboard plan. So I don't know exactly what that looks like, but I'm sure, or I would assume that it would likely be correct to try to prioritize sideboard slots for the energy matchup. I'm guessing you brewed Amtraptor with Ancestral Vision, Inevitable Trail, Crashing Footfalls. Is it just not good enough? So you assumed I did brew that. I did not. I think Amtraptor is not a card that makes you want to try to cheat out little suspend spells. Where it's like, what is your deck? Because like Amtraptor is only going to hit a suspend spell if your deck is entirely suspend spells. Or I guess you could play Amtraptor, Electrodominance, and suspend spells. But like, you know, you're just not going to be able to reliably hit one and have a deck that has like a reasonable ratio of lands and spells. If you could play 20 Amtraptors in your deck, it would be sick. But Amtraptor is a really unique card and has some kind of intense deck building restrictions, which is why you and like the way Raptor is templated is kind of intentionally designed for you to not be able to play it in that way. It's more intentionally designed for you to be able to really only play it in a deck in a more fair strategy. My plan to play some post-ban 4-color still not worthy. I mean, maybe. I mean, I liked Helga a little bit. As far as like just normal 4-color Omnath, it is an archetype that I historically get pretty bored with pretty quickly. So I don't know if I'm very likely to register a 4-color list unless there's something cool or interesting about it that would just have to be determined at a later date. Okay, so no Scion yet. But it does seem fine to just play this ley. This Leyline is free to play because of the Nykthos. We can also loop rings with 6. I guess I should play a halfling before. I mean, I guess this punishes me if I draw Bristly Bill or something. off the ring. But at the moment, it is free to play. Yeah, maybe if Boros wasn't just so weak to ring loops, maybe if the most popular deck wasn't so weak to this, we'd see people complaining less about it. I don't really want to expose the card, especially when I have just all this mana here. I think I could just cycle this Triome. Ding, ding, ding. Game over. They can, I guess, flicker my Leyline, so I don't have the best blocks. So I do also pro everything. What do I think of Necro at the moment? I mean, they got a nerf in Grief. I don't know. I think Necro is a very interesting deck where it had a great Pro Tour, and then it had a pretty big falling off post Pro Tour. And to some extent, Necro is just like a pretty inconsistent deck. Like the games where you get to go discard spell, removal spell into Necro, you win like basically every single time. But even those same games, like if your opponent is just able to like discard your Necro or counter your Necro or like Haywire Mite or besage you your Necro, the deck just like I feel like the deck just crumbles so easily. Is I guess what I'm trying to say. Necro is an archetype that just feels like it crumbles so often. Okay, let's see if they just scoop to Karn. So I don't know. Necro is going to be a fine playable deck, but I think there's a chance that it could just be a little overrated. Maybe that's the way to put it. So I can make infinite mana and infinite power on the Fanatic of Rhonas, and then gain infinite life because I have Scion of Draco. That is something I would be doing if this was paper, but this is not paper, and it's a little bit too many clicks, I think, for a game where we can't really lose. Okay, and then they just concede. Every single tournament I've prepped for him, he just plays like 1,000 matches and becomes a master of whatever it is he needs to prep for. I've played Pro Tours with the man, and or I played the Team Pro Tour with the man, and he plays his chosen decks as well as anybody else. But it just takes him a long time to get there. And I firmly believe that if my friend Mickey can do it, y'all can too. So on the draw against Guide Pride is not the best place to be. If my opponent kills my Fanatic of Rhonas, we may be in some pretty bad shape. So next turn I can go Bristly Bill, Extra Triome into Scion of Draco, Fanatic of Rhonas. But now I can't do that because they have a discharge. Still going to be a tough one. Only taking 3 damage here. Definitely have outs. I think I have to play Fanatic, and I think I need to get Triome here. So if we were to draw a One Ring or a Leyline, I think we'd be in pretty good shape, assuming this Fanatic lives. Maybe too high of an assumption. How the Gorzek without Grief go? It not only like went pretty well, we 4-1 and only losing to Dimir Frog, but I think the deck looked very good the whole time. Dex definitely seems very playable still, but also, you know, if Goryo's is one of the better decks, I think it's usually pretty good, since it's a deck that can be hated out kind of easily. Most mono green devotion lists I've seen in recent times are more so all in with Storm the Festival. Why shy away with that? Because the card Fanatic Infinite Mana combo. I mean, I've played probably about as much mono green devotion as anybody else in Modern, and I have also played more all-in builds like you're describing with Storm the Festival. But I could, as someone who's played a ton of them, these decks are very clunky, very clunky in general. Like just like look at our mana curve compared to this. We We curve out at 4. We're playing Leyline Scion. We're playing Fanatic of Rhonas. We're playing 6. We're playing the Ring. We're playing Karn. We still have access to super explosive amounts of mana, but it's just way harder to pick us apart and strand us with 6 drops in our hands. You know what I mean? Storm the Festival is the kind of card that you remember the games where you like looped them, it went crazy and like combo killed your opponent on turn 3, and very easy to forget the games where you just drew 2 of them and you lost because you drew you top decked the second copy, or games where you had 2 in your opening hand and you had to mulligan the hand because you had 2 6-drops, you know? Storm is like just kind of not super duper playable. Outside of Timeless Lotus, of course. So obviously a very land-heavy hand. But we have Nykthos plus Leyline. We also have a Surveil. We could maybe cycle Indatha Triome. I'm going to keep. Do you play decks like Yawgmoth on stream, or do you leave the Yawg tinkering to the Yawg pros? Funny enough, back post MH1, I kind of built the initial Yawg deck. I built it on stream too. It was awesome. I was like the first person to trophy with it, and it's a whole entomology. I've done a lot of work on the Yawg archetype. Yes. That being said, I also played Yawg at Pro Tour Barcelona. I played a lot of Yawg, but I don't tend to play any deck on stream unless I feel like there's like something interesting to say when I play it. Unless I feel like there's something interesting to do working on the archetype. I need to feel like I have an innovation, I have an update, I have something that people can improve the archetype with, and of course we can do that with. with Yawg, especially because there are a lot of ways to build the archetype now post MH3. There's a ton of options. But it'll just take some time, I think, to figure out like the right split of Malevolent Rumble, Marionette Apprentice, Agatha Soul Cauldron, Birthing Ritual, Chthonian Nightmare, Phyrexian Tower, and there are other people working on it. But it is difficult, yes, for me to sorry, I think I should go 6 into activate Nykthos into Rumble. It is difficult for me to just kind of pick it up again. It's something that will take like many hours off stream, but it is something I am open to working on. So I guess I should take the Verdant Catacombs, but then retrace the Karn, and this way I can have a landfall for Bristly Bill. Maybe I guess I could have built first. You know, I guess that's okay. I think most people don't, but yeah, I'm a big Yawg fan, big Yawg lover, but Yawg is the kind of deck that I would be kind of likely to like prep for a tournament, and we do have like the Mox qualifier thing coming up 1 week from today, and so Yawg is actually a deck I'm interested in trying to work on and potentially play in that event. So I think probably this week there's more of a chance I play it than any week in recent history. My opponent discarded Amped Raptor and Orcish Bowmaster. Discarding Amped Raptor just like with an energy in the pool in the spot feels kind of deranged. I have really no idea what their hand could be that they would like be like, yep, later Amped Raptor. They flaged my Karn. So if I attack with a 6, they can triple block. Okay, but now we have a Scion of Draco. So I think what I should do is play this Scion of Draco. Okay, and then win the game. Energy is gonna be unbeatable post Nanu Man Spike. Energy is just gonna be, it's gonna be so hard to beat. It's gonna be so hard to beat. Or like it's gonna be super easy to farm for 2 weeks. Yeah, you do have the ring in your deck. I'm starting to really understand. I feel that a big amount of the angst about the ring is because energy is just the most popular deck in modern. Energy is just the most popular deck in modern. People are very angsty about the ring. There's a big correlation there. Yeah, Flasia, I don't know. It's at least maybe that game did a good job illustrating some of my experiences in modern. Did really want that Sprawl in my hand, of course. Hit it, Raptor with the Raptor. I mean, if you play Merfolk, Energy Reserve with the build. Yeah, I mean, so I guess this is another thing, too, is when I say Energy is very easy to beat, it's very easy to beat in the deck selection portion of your... Oh, I guess I keep taking a second to Nykthos. It's easier to beat when in your deck building portion of of Magic. It's a little less easy if you're a Merfolk main or a Dimir Frog main. Alright, taking 4. Obviously, we've got some options here. It's kind of weird. I think because I have second Nykthos... Oh, I won't have the land, though. I'm going to play the ring. Try to find the land. Okay, don't find the land. I was definitely looking for any land off of the Rumble that last turn. Discard 2 lands, and then they put a Giganta into their hand. Makes a Fable treasure token. It's pretty lucky that all they could do is Fable here. Maybe they have a Bowmaster. We have a Bombardment. Bombardment's pretty good. Maybe we could have Karn Explosives on 2 this turn. Be kind of tough. Let's draw 2. Scion would be good, too. Here come the lands. So I only have 4 mana. Seems like I should probably just play another ring. And then next turn, I'll be able to have extra mana because I can Legend Roll my Nykthos. Maybe we could have kept the fetch for Bristly Bill. I don't know if that's going to matter so much. You can find a Scion. Things get pretty easy. See if they just cast Giganta. It does seem like my opponent's very flooded, too. Next turn, we're going to have 6. And this is basically just plus 2 mana. So, yeah, so 6 total mana. So not enough mana to retrace the ring with 6. Might lose, despite all the shit talking I'm doing. It also doesn't seem like I can explosives on 2. Halfling is free at least. Well, if I don't want to double activate Nykthos this turn, Halfling is free. Or I guess it's mana neutral even if I do. Yeah, I guess we're just gonna go Halfling, Fanatic, and be pretty likely to be alive. Don't I have 7 mana? I have 6 mana, I believe. I go Nykthos, make 4, and then I legend roll the Nykthos, and then I can spend 2 of the 4 mana to make 4 more, which is 6. Just make 4 blockers. I don't think I had a way to make 4 blockers. Maybe I did. Also, does my opponent have a way to gain life here? I guess they can by copying an Ocelot Pride. They take Karn here. I think we're dead. So because I'm going to block here, but then they're going to make infinite tokens. Oh, they didn't attack with the Ocelot Pride. That's a freebie. Nykthos, gain 4. Play Bill with Nykthos up. Make 5, then Halfling 2 1-0s. Nykthos, make 4 mana. Play Nykthos with 2 up. Make 5, Halfling 2. Okay, yeah, sorry, you're right. I guess we should have done that. So will they kill my Fanatic of Rhonas here by sacking 2 things? They sack the copy, then maybe the Shaman token? Okay, then the Shaman token. Now we can Legend Roll Ring, although this may get a little weird. Draw 3. There's our Scion that we've been digging for. So we have a lot of different lines we could take this turn. It seems like I'm basically always should be going Halfling into activate Nykthos here. So if we go Halfling into activate Nykthos for 5, play second Nykthos, I'll have 8 mana available. Now with no extra land in hand, I can't retrace the ring. Second Leyline isn't net positive mana. No. It is not net positive mana because I can't play it before I activate this Nykthos. Okay, so I'll have 8 mana after I play the Halfling, which could be just Scion 6 Bristly Bill. Rumble for land and sack token. Yeah, I'm just not sure how important it is to retrace the ring, because then we don't get the Scion online. I guess it's important if my opponent can, like, if they draw Guide of Souls or Flage, we would kind of lose to this. So maybe what I should do is I should go Halfling into 8 mana and then go Bristly Bill, and then Karn for Needle on Goblin Bombardment. That seems like that's got to be it. Yeah, we have a ring in the sideboard, but contrary to popular belief, it is not always about the ring unless you're Esther. All right, so I go Bill, 3 mana floating, Nykthos, 7 mana. Thinking E for 1, so they can't make a gazillion tokens. Or Needle Kiki. Well, I mean, just Needle on Bombardment means I can't really lose. And if I don't lose this turn, I can't. Then we're going to win. The game is just too slipped away from them at this point. Could probably rumble in between. No, I would be a mana short if I rumbled in between. Goblin Bombardment. So if they top deck Wear Tear and they kill my Leyline and my Needle, that would probably be it. But so they are going to make a lot of Ocelot Pride tokens, and they get to kill my Karn. They even get to copy Ocelot Pride here. Looks like they cannot escape the Flage. Not that that would do too much. They can escape Flage. How can they? Oh, sorry. I forgot about the treasure token because it was locked with Karn. They can. You're right. They can escape the Flage. It does seem like it would probably be better for them to copy an Ocelot Pride token and really go crazy, because I can just triple block the Flage if they haste it with the Arena of Glory. It does look like that's what they're doing though. Wait, why they didn't give it haste? Okay, they did not give it haste. I guess that makes sense because they don't have a good attack. So I'm going to go down to 4 off of my ring. They get to make a lot of tokens. Again, it might have been correct for them to... I feel like it was better for them to just copy the Ocelot, whatever. Can I kill them with a Scion? So I go landfall, 2 counters on Scion of Draco. Then I'll have 4 mana here. I do have another basic forest. So 4, 5, and then devotion is 6. So -3 + 6. So I can double activate. So I would get 2 counters doubled to 4, then double to 8 counters. So I'd be able to hit my opponent for 12 in the air, which is not quite lethal. It's also probably not super duper beatable, but let's see if there's a different line, I guess. I can retrace Karn with 6. Pretty good chance that is correct. Although you also gain 12. Yeah, I know that I also gain 12. Yeah, Karn, I mean, explosives on 0 seems pretty dang good too. Is there anything I could see off Rumble that would like Retrace Ring. Yeah, Retrace Ring also seems pretty dang good. I agree that we're basically always going to be retracing. It's a lot of options. Gotta go through them all. Maybe I could have retraced the Sprawl first. Not sure. So now the 50 months, appreciate you. Happy 50th anniversary to you too. I was someone with Halfling for the lifelink. I wouldn't have. I would definitely tap Halfling for mana this game. Why do we care about losing our Halfling to gain one more point of life? Do you think Halfling has flying? A lot of people think Scion gives stuff flying. It's a pretty common misconception. We're still dead to my opponent killing this needle. So maybe there's a line we could have taken that wasn't the case. Ain't we really dead here? No, we have a Pithing Needle on this Goblin Bombardment, and we have protection from everything. Alright, still get to gain the life because of first strike. Could we have made more mana by retracing Kiora? Yeah, I think we could have too. I think we could have played that turn better. That being said, it does look like we have super duper lethal. Just by activating Bristly Bill a lot. That was so close to a punt, letting a Johnny flip, haha, main phase. Well, the Johnny flipping doesn't matter. I have protection from everything, and all my creatures have hexproof. Yeah, I don't care about the Johnny flipping. I can play the Halfling first. I'm just gonna finish the game. Gonna activate the bill a bunch. That is kind of almost like textbook example of like healthy metagame. Popular deck is super the most when the popular deck is very exploitable. You know, it's kind of like it was like not like this with Nadu. Nadu's the most popular deck. That deck was not not exploitable. Obviously, this hand's very clunky on the draw, but I think we should probably keep. I'm personally very happy if Energy is the most popular deck for a while. Record bot broke again. Okay, let me see. I think it was working earlier, right? No. Refreshed it. The graveyard had a brain surge here. Pretty cool. My guess is that Energy hates on some other popular aggressive decks. Yes, I think Bird and Prowess are pretty unplayable because of it. Although Scales is an aggressive deck that is very good against Energy. I think we're up against Creativity. Brain Surge. Playing Energy, Eldrazi Through the Breach farms you. Yeah, Through the Breach very popular, but it's also just like all of the combo decks are so good against Energy. It's a very interesting metagame. It's a very interesting metagame where it feels like the combo players are just all feasting on Energy and trying to figure out what the best combo deck is at the moment. And there's some other like fair strategies. Like I think that grows a pretty fair deck, but you can. I know people have disagreement on the definition of fair. But like it's like Necro or Goryo's or like Jeskai and Necro, like the other fair decks, try to figure it out and just get a farm Energy. It's just so weird. Goro's even won a challenge. I think it's fine with that grief. Yeah, I didn't see that it won a challenge. It is pretty cool. We played it yesterday, and the deck seemed pretty fine with that grief. We had a Flare of Denial build that I liked, but yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can build it. What you'd say are the combo decks vying for the top of the meta. So it's gonna be a few. So Goryo's like still actually seems like one of them. I think that I'm planning on playing Woodland combo at the next available opportunity. I don't know exactly when that's going to be for me. Next available opportunity in the tournament. I think that deck is super slept on. Nadu was like kind of like it feels like the only matchup we were like consistently losing to. I'm really excited about Storm. Storm is probably still a bad matchup. Storm is of course also a combo deck that is going to be competing for competition through the Breach, Gorios, Storm. I have personally think Woodlands, but most people probably don't. Titan is probably going to try to make a comeback. Yawgmoth is going to try to make a comeback. Just a lot of stuff. Wow, 3 Brain Surges. Woodland combo with Primal Prayers. I do think Primal Prayers has potential. It's a deck we're working on a lot. It's something we also want to circle back to, but I do think that I was a lot more impressed by the Shifting Woodland Omniscience deck that we played recently. Am I dead? This is not yet dead. Yeah, I did mention Amulet, but yeah, I mean, yes, Amulet I think is going to try to make a comeback, and it'll be kind of TBD if they're able to. Yeah, it is pretty silly. Twin is still banned. Is Woodland at all a contender for me to play at the Mox? Yes, it is. It is a deck I really want to play at the Mox. The Mox are 1 week from today. So, I mean, I think today is going to be a kind of normal stream. We have a tournament on Friday. But I need to be doing more tournament practice stuff. So the next week might just turn into Mox prep week where I'm playing a lot of prelims and challenges. And I might try to do this mostly off stream to try to conceal info, but it is what it is. How's Prowess in this metagame? I don't think Prowess is very good. Ryan, 36 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Appreciate you. It's like, when I say that Energy is an exploitable most popular deck, this is like in your deck building construction phase. Energy is very good against decks like Prowess. Energy is very good against decks like Burn, very good against decks like Dimir Frog. Do you think one-shot Prowess is anything good against combo decks? Yeah, Prowess can be good against combo. Like, you're mostly just racing them. It's very play-drill dependent most of the time. Is there any chance for Coffers deck in new meta? We played a little Coffers yesterday. It didn't seem very good. I do have an idea for Coffers that I'm kind of unsure about, but I'm kind of interested in trying to play Sowing Mycospawn in Coffers. I don't really know what that would look like, but I tried to figure it out yesterday, and it's like the biggest thing I suppose is trying to understand: do you try to be like a hybrid Eldrazi deck, or do you just like completely ignore the Eldrazi stuff? That's something I'm not really sure about. So your black-white Soul Trader deck 5-0'd in the morning 5-0 dump? Cool. Although that deck was, it was someone else we played against, and then we like just changed a couple cards, so I think something Sun God. It might just be that, like them, right? It wasn't Diablo. Oh. We're just sorry, I was thought we were talking about a different deck. This is interesting looking though. Kind of seems like I'd rather play Creativity over Ring and Flage, maybe not. Seems cool. Is Green Black Coffers a free starter? Yeah, I know. I mean, we've obviously played a lot of that on the stream. It's not really a deck that I think I believe in at the moment, unfortunately. I think Lookout is a pretty poor card of the metagame. And I wish that wasn't the case. So there's another bill. We can just keep this Fanatic in the yard, too. Can also put the Fanatic into our hand. I think taking another bill is fine. And let's cast another Rumble here. Maybe we should cast the bill. Let's cast the Rumble. Interesting. Jank Mage with 7 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Hoping to find a land. Is Jeskai control basically dead right now competitively? I don't know why you would think that. Jeskai is also a deck that is very good against Boros, and I think has a lot of game against most of the other format. Also, if Titan ends up becoming still a very popular deck, or if Titan ends up becoming a popular deck post ban, I think you can make a very good argument that that's a great time for Jeskai because Wrath of Skies is very good against Titan. This is big. This is part of the Titan deck kind of fading into obscurity. I get consigned here. Looking at the Portent deck from yesterday, what do you think about the land count with Labyrinth? Worth 1.5 lands. How do you think about the land count with Labyrinth? Worth 1.5 lands. You're saying you want to add 1.5 lands to the deck from yesterday? I don't think I would. You have a lot of mana sources with the sprawls and the talismans too, but I may be misunderstanding what you're saying, I guess. Oh, you're saying do you count Labyrinth as 1.5 lands? I don't usually, but I understand your question now. I don't usually count it as 1.5 lands. But stuff to brick on the Also weird that they fetched before brain surging. It's weird. It's tough to brick on the Rumble. I'd have been so happy with just like any land over Leyline. All right, do you want to name Archon of Cruelty or Indomitable Creativity? Let's name Indomitable Creativity. Don't think they're playing Persist. Yeah, there's the Trestodon in their hand. Trestodon in the board there. They do have one Transmogrify, so I guess we have to fade that for a bit. And then the rest of their hand, they have a Bolt, they have a Galvanic Discharge, another Red and 6, and another Brain Surge. I think I'm happy enough here if my opponent uses a Bolt or Discharge on a Bill instead of a 6 or a Karn. Because they have the ping plus Bolt here. Can't you grab the brain off Karn again to remove other threats? No, my opponent's going to kill this Karn. But in the future, I guess, sure. But not this turn either. Like if this turn, if I go Stonebrain, Exile Archons, my opponent just goes untap Creativity, hits Trasodon. Oh no, I've lost the game. So I think it just makes a lot more sense to name Creativity at this spot. Especially because, like, I think right now, I would not be surprised if they just didn't have a Transmogrify or any Persists. These Brain Surges are looking cool. Why not Mantle for 2 infinite attackers? Did I have enough mana to go Mantle, Equip, untap? Also, my opponent would have bolted and discharged in response, so, like, playing around removal I think makes sense, but, like, I'm not sure. I guess I should have had enough mana. So because we have Bill, it's kind of nice that like lands are pretty good draws because we get to like we just kind of have lethal, and spells are good draws too. There's a spells. Even if they have a consign in their hand, I don't know if they're how likely they are to have another Steam Vents. They might have another Steam Vents, I guess. Okay, they concede. Yeah, I was going to go counter here, then double the counters. Do you lose to Trastodon? I feel like it's so behind. I think I'd be behind against Trastodon. I don't know, chat. I think Stonebranding creativity was clear, like ended up clearly being in the right line there, right? I know there's a lot of options. All right, reveal Gigantha. Triple bill, huh? We also have Leyline Nykthos, and not really, I think, in a spot where I can mulligan. I can also go turn one Nykthos Halfling, and maybe get to save the fetch lands for Bill. But if any of these bills were any other cards, I would certainly be happier. Then we say we can turn 2 Ring with this hand if this lives, which I guess it's not living. Slapcaster, 32 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Thank you, Fax. They have Discharge into Ren and 6. They do. So we definitely need to see another land soon. Rumble is pretty interesting. I think I should probably be playing Rumble instead of Bill this turn. It's nice that we can kind of sandbag fetch lands for future Bill triggers, though. I have put a 1 of 1 with the multiverse in Omni Woodlands and has been so good. That's kind of interesting. I have unironically been thinking about cutting the rings from that deck and playing 4th Traverse, 4th Cash Grab. Although rings are pretty good in games where you're trying to beat hate cards for whatever that's worth, I suppose. So I like playing in this way. I have a Bristly build that's kind of immune from burn. Oh, I guess I can go Discharge plus Red and 6 ping. It's immune from bolts. Obviously, not doing very good against the creativity next turn. So it's 3 Omni, 1 with the multiverse supposed to cut. No, it is. There's like no chance you cut Omniscience for 1 with the multiverse. You would just play it as like an extra one that could also cast Omniscience from hand. But yeah, could be okay. And they don't have it. Love to see that. They are holding up Consigned, though. Then you can copy a countered Ring with Woodlands. So yeah, I mean, Ring is good in the deck. You know, Ring is good in every deck, but it is not always optimal. There's a difference between good and optimal. Blah, 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 blah. So I do want one more counter on this so they can't go Discharge plus ping, but I'll probably sandbag this Catacombs, and I'm going to go ahead and just cast a Ring. It is good that at least doesn't get Spell Pierced, but I think they're probably just going to consign this. What are the Bristly Bills for? They are a 2-mana creature that enables 4 power on Fanatic of Rhonas. It is also a mana sink in your Nykthos Fanatic of Rhonas deck. Goes pretty hard with Leyline Scion too. In fact, if I draw a Scion of Draco, I'll get to go Scion into Activate Bill, which will just be lethal, even through a chump blocker. Like Ring in the Woodlands deck is really important for like sideboard games. Your opponent have a lot of lock pieces. You just slam the Ring, so it's probably still going to play the Ring in the deck, but I like talking about it. Okay, I guess Scion could also get consigned. Maybe I should. Sorry, I should have surveilled in the turn. That's actually a punt. They're going to get to ultimate this Ren 6 next turn too, which is pretty bad. Oh yeah, I forgot about Juicy J. One mana short of casting at this turn though. Could still cast it next turn if I don't draw anything. And although I kind of think I like the idea of activating this bill, so I don't have to do it at all in the future. I'm not sure what's going on with the record tracker. They discarded an Archon, which they're also like able to cast this turn. Probably going to go down a game here, down a match here. Cool to see creativity making a comeback. Interesting that they're on Brain Surge. Not a card that I've personally cast a lot in Modern, but I know a lot of people think it's just like a great card selection spell. It makes more sense in Creativity, which is a deck that can't play the ring. They do ultimate the W6. Did they punt by discarding the Archon, or do they have some big follow-up? There's the big follow-up. 2-1. Got to surveil towards this Leyline Scion. Let's keep on the draw. Post bans, are there any changes you make the Storm or Otter Wizards? I'm sure there's some. Like, I mean, Otter Wizards, like, gonna play less sideboard cards for Nadu. Not sure exactly. I'll have to think about it some, I guess. Yeah, was it US Leyline that submitted this tech? It does look pretty sick. Should almost definitely have an Otawara over an island. Should definitely, especially like you can Moonsnare for Otawara. You have like a bunch of legends. Oh, you're playing Border Post. Okay. Still, I think. Okay, why is it not? Okay, sorry about that. You know, I was also thinking about this with Bristly Bill. It's like if you go turn 2 Leyline Scion, your opponent still just gets to attack with Frog. Like, and you can't really block it. But if you can pump your Scion, it ends up becoming kind of a nice thing to do in these kind of games. Yeah, Kitsa also combos with Dramatic Reversal. I like that too. They have a Subtlety? They have Flare. Okay. I'm gonna keep it on top. Auto Wizards should be playing main deck Harbingers, honestly. Harbingers have been pretty good lately. Although, I don't know, it's tough because they're like really bad against Boros, so maybe not. Okay, so we're drawing Scion. I'm gonna go cast Rumble before I cast Scion here. If my opponent counters the Rumble, then we'll cast a Halfling. Then we just take the Forest. We can hit our land drop this turn and not have to sack our spawn token. Expecting this to be put into the graveyard momentarily, but we do have we can maybe retrace it with a Ren 6, or sorry, a 6. We'll see. If my opponent doesn't fly the Frog, I guess I should probably block with 6, although that stops me from drawing a land and going 6 retrace, but I think trading a spawn for a damage at a card is like that's usually going to be a pretty good trade. So I want to play Halfling before I play 6 so I can try to make it uncounterable. So let's just cast another Rumble. We mill over Fanatic of Rhonas. I could actually take... I think I want to take the Wooded Foothills so that I have the ability to retrace next turn. I can retrace anything. And I think this is more of something we should be going for because we have the halfling to try to make 6 uncounterable. Maybe halfling gets fatal pushed, but seems like the direction we should be going. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have been F6. Gave them an extra orc army here. So now I'm going to need a land or I guess a Scion to go 6 into Scion next turn. I think they're about to play a Murktide. Land drop. I'm holding this land in my hand for 6. Hoping for no second fatal push. It's bad. Right, I have 3 cards in their hand. Notably, they're not discarding anything to frogs. So they should all be somewhat in play here. If we draw a land, if we draw a Scion, that'll be good. They play a Polluted Delta. Not any land, even. Just a good land, too. Can't play the other Leyline first. This shouldn't really change what we're doing this turn, though. Okay, so next turn my opponent can discard 2 cards. 3+4 is not lethal. I think we probably should play Leyline over the Karn here, since this is just kind of more devotion next turn for the Karn. I don't think playing out the Karn does a ton. Dead to Archmage's Charm targeting us, but we're also just dead to Archmage's Charm, countering my next play anyways. And they cling to the Scion of Draco, which has got to be incorrect. They don't get to draw a card here. Yeah, it's got to be a punt. So they just top decked. Now they're drawing another card off the frog. That means there's a pretty good chance Karn resolves. We'll see. Do you have an updated elves list? Not yet, but when we're talking about things that could replace Nadu in the metagame, there's a lot of talk about Yawgmoth. There's a lot of talk about Birthing Ritual. Not a lot of talk about elves. But elves, my pet deck. I'm still a believer. Optimistic. Well, unlucky they top decked the counterspell. Lucky we top decked the second Karn. Do they have? If they drew counterspell, or counterspell, spell pierce, then we really get to complain. Maybe I could go for explosives on 2, but honestly, the 2/2 orc is still kind of getting me. They could have a Murktide or draw a Murktide next turn. Elves is also I don't know how the energy matchup is. That probably matters a lot. But if Elves is okay against energy, which I think it might be, I'm feeling kind of optimistic. Obviously, bad against Jeskai. You definitely need a Sun Cleanser in Elves for Wrath of Skies. I think maybe you should main deck a Sun Cleanser to Court of Calling 4. That might just be the play. Oh, we are still dead to Archmage's Charm. Looks like I cling to dust. Wouldn't Elves suffer splash damage from all the Pyroclasm around? Yeah, it would, but you have some game against it. Some. Being the operable word there. Seems like I should just get Ballista. Might have been a Chain Veil spot, but we couldn't actually cast anything this turn. But maybe we should just not be playing the Chain Veil anymore. So I think there might still be some situations for it. Why want to go bridge over ring? My opponent has 2 Orcish Bowmasters in play. I'm at 5 live. This is also game 1, and they have some answers to bridge, like sink into the stupor. But they have 2 Orcish Bowmasters in play. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? I want to do this main phase because of Archmage's Charm. targeting me to make me draw 2. I think that... Sorry, I think that maybe the problem with the record tracker is I didn't finish this, like, solitaire game. Am I going to DC in October? No, my October is super busy. But I'm also not qualified. I have... In the month of October, I'm going to Austin City Limits to see Chaperone. Okay, main phase discard. Austin City Limits, see Chaperone. I'm going to... What are they doing here? I'm going to Ren Fair at the end of the month, and then... Wait, October is also Vegas, isn't it? Wait, Vegas is also in October? Pretty sure it is. I'm also doing something else I can't talk about yet, but it'll be pretty cool. You'll still be to the charm because they attack through bridge. Oh, I guess so, yeah. Last week of October, because I'm doing that too. So my October is stacked. So, you know, if I was qualified, I would also go to DC, but I have 4 different out of town trips. Although the Ren Fair is like first week. It's kind of end of October, beginning of November. Okay, so now they bounce the bridge. So we just do nothing. And then we go to 1. But then we're dead to their last card being Orcish Bowmaster, I guess. Yeah. If you have Bowmaster sink into the super somehow here, you know, I'll lose. Oh right, so it also can't be because they'd have to discard their last card, then draw Orcish Bowmaster. Do you have an updated Valakut list or how to build a Valakut deck? I don't know. I was watching Dingo play. Okay, just concede. I was watching Dingo play Valakut yesterday, and I was kind of thinking about like the free starter builds we've been playing, Flare Denial in his deck too. And I had like some ideas, but I'm not really sure. But I do kind of feel like that kind of deck might be good because there's a lot of Break the Ices and Charmalls, and so being like a big mana deck that ignores those is pretty nice. Okay, I'm gonna go use the restroom. BRB. Be your friend aspiring spike. Be your friend aspiring spike. I did also forget Juicy J again last round. What's up? It's me, your friend aspiring spike. Alright, let's go to 6, I think. 5. You know, these Triomes, you gotta play them in your Scion deck. You definitely have some sad hands like this. Shame can see because they drew Bowmasters to discard the other card. I mean, I think they were just dead on board to me activating Ballista and attacking. I'm not sure that they were, but I think there's a good chance they might have been. I also just get to replay the bridge at the very least, and their hand was probably bad. I guess their plan was to try to draw a counter spell off the frog to counter the bridge on the way down. Okay, I'm on the draw on a multi-5 against a frog with kind of a non-functional hand. Let's go to game 3. Hopefully keep a nice 7 on the play. Nice enough. Is this a devotion deck with Gigantha? Yeah. Leyline of the Guildpact allows you to play Gigantha in your deck. It's pretty dumb. No, don't consign me, dude. I don't deserve to be consigned. I'm a good man. Damn it. My first appearance since my grief ban induced depression is Living and Dead. I've been saying, when people have been asking me this a lot, is Living and Dead. I keep saying, I hope so. I won't say this to you, Shaka, because I know you love Living End, but I don't know. Not exactly an archetype that I I'm going to be shedding a lot of tears for. Maybe I'm just bad at Modern. I always feel like I'm using Giganta. I'm already losing. Is it worth the slot? Yes, it is not only worth the slot. It is basically always worth the slot. I have won, like, literally countless games in the 3-4 years that Giganta has been legal because of Giganta. I have also lost countless games because of my opponent's Giganta. It is absolutely a factor in like basically every single game that comes to top decking, and also to some extent, Modern is not a format that's like that's like built around dealing with 5-mana 5/5s. So like the fact that this dodge is like bolt, push, discharge, flage a lot of the times is really annoying. You can jump it with Guide of Souls. In this deck, it draws cards with Kiora. This deck specifically is a Nykthos deck that is making a ton of mana. I'm also here grabbing Giganta over playing Halfling, and I can make it uncounterable. But this is we have a Kiora in the deck. You used to have more Kioras, so like it just cantrips. It is just like always worth it. It is really annoying that it is always worth it. I personally think Giganta should be banned in Modern. It is very dumb that this deck gets to have a free 5/5. It's dumb that, you know, a lot of decks just get the free 5/5. It is worth it. Boon with the 14 months. Think you'll come back? I'm just so sick of Giganta. We're pretty toasted this game. That consign was brutal, of course. Yeah, it has haste with Arena of Glory. It's like there's also like a lot of times like if you play it like Boros Convoke, you get to like discard it to a blood token. I've played it in decks that can't cast it because I have like discard synergies with it, and it's just free. Companions are just problematic in general. I mean, maybe. I do pretty often wonder, would we have the same opinions about companions as we do now if it wasn't for Luris and Yorion and Giganta, maybe to a lesser extent Kiora. But like if the only companions were like Obot, okay, well, I'm keeping that one. That's like the best one. If the only companions were like Obosh power level, Karuga and Modern, you know, Karuga and Standard was pretty gross though. I do oftentimes wonder, would we still have these opinions? We might. We might. Lure should still be legal following the one thing logic, shrug. I mean, I absolutely agree. There's a lot of flawed logic in the BNR. I agree with that. What would be a viable version of Monogreen Devotion without Scion Leyline? I mean, I built you can like dig in the Moxfield and like YouTube of like versions I played in the past. I don't play them. They're a bit more similar to the Pioneer builds, but kind of simply put, you probably should play Leyline Scion because otherwise you get run over a bit too hard. Yeah, not even quite lethal with a pump. All right, go for another Devotion 3/2, our sweet spot with the archetype. Really often. And to some extent, that's a big part of the frustrations I have with Gigantha, is that the games you win are usually very close. You're usually winning like a very close game, and the fact that it's just, you know, some decks just get it for free and your opponent's deck didn't, is just so obnoxious. When is Zerda breaking something? Zerda's banned in Legacy. I also, back before the companion nerf, we would play Umbral. I actually have Umbral Mantle this deck too, but we played an Umbral Mantle combo deck with Zerda, and it was pretty cool because like Umbral Mantle, Zerda, and a Mana Dork was a 3-card combo, but you always had your third card. You always had your third card in Zerda. So we actually trophy with that deck a couple times back in the pre-nerf companion metagame, and then post-nerf companion we tried to play Aether Vial, where you could put Zerda in your hand and then vial it in, but it wasn't the same. I reset the interface. Thank you for the feedback on the feedback. They're good any good Obosh, Garuda decks with image 3 like Obosh and Flage. I've seen Obosh Flage decks, but it's also like if you're gonna be a Boros deck in Modern and you're just like not playing Amtraptor or a Johnny, your deck is just misbuilt, I think. You know. I think it's problematic that the tier 1 control decks of Modern have average CMC of 2.25 or lower. Should control decks be allowed this lean? I have they not always been about this lean in Modern? That's if anything, it kind of feels like mana values are somewhat higher because of subtlety and solitude and stuff, but like it's Modern, baby. Mana curves are low. So I could cast the card now. I think I'll just cast 6 this turn. But yeah, it's Modern. Mana curves are low. I think you're overthinking it. Last time control wasn't lean, they played Cryptic, Jason's 5-mana Teferi. I mean, yeah, years ago, you know. Years ago, maybe it wasn't so lean. But it's like the entirety of the Modern formats, mana curves have gotten lower. Oh, you know, it's just kind of a weird data point. Do I attempt to build a ringless version of some black-based mid-range deck, or am I wasting my time? So you can build Necro without the ring, which some players have done in the past. They play Profane Tutor instead, which I think is kind of interesting, but you still kind of want like one ring to get off your Profane Tutor at least, so that's also kind of weird. But you can also play like Stitcher Supply or Chthonian Nightmare piles, but these decks have certainly gotten a lot worse with the banning of Grief. So there's some tension. Maybe my Fanatic of Rhonas has bitten the dust here. Hopefully hit a land. Nice. We did Nykthos and we mill over another Fanatic. Can't activate Devotion on the Nykthos here. I'm 1 mana short of going Karn for Coating. Seems like I should probably just Eternalize. I like the idea of Pillage at the Bog of Mono Black. Yeah, so I've been thinking about coffers with Sowing Mycospawn and Pillage the Bog some lately, and I'm not exactly sure what that's going to look like when everything is said and done, but that's something I've been thinking about. Do I Eternalize again? I think I should probably Ponder first. Maybe I should Slam a Ring too. I think I want to Eternalize because if they play their own card, not that they're definitely playing card in their deck, but if they do have card in their deck, it's pretty tough for me to let them go Karn minus if I play my own ring here. I guess I could go Karn plus. So maybe that's not the case. So they kick a Mycospawn, probably going after my forest instead of the Nykthos. It's about Rumble and Coffers. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, I think Mycospawn and Coffers is something I want to explore. I was thinking about it last night, and I was having a kind of a difficult time, I think, understanding exactly how one would build that, but I want to figure it out. So they get red mana here. Are they through the breach? They only have 2 cards in their hand, so even if they are through the breach, I'm not that worried about like actually getting breached here. Now I do think, yeah, we just go like this. And then, oh, I only have 4 mana. I forgot that this doesn't count for Devotion when it's Eternalized. But I need to play a Scion here so my opponent can't, so they can't devour my Fanatic. I need this Fanatic for the mana here. They can devour my Leyline, but that's okay. We can maybe go 6, Eternalize, or retrace the Leyline. Oh yeah, Dimir Frog is also a black-based mid-range deck that doesn't play Ring. You think Fury would be safe unban with Grief gone? No, I mean Fury's not a safe unban ever. It's a card that has caused an incredible amount of angst and complaints from the Magic community. I don't necessarily think it's a card that like should have been banned when it was, but I think it would be an incredibly unpopular unban. And it just, yeah. Fury, I think, is a card that will never come off the ban list. I would be shocked if it ever did. Any tips for beating Frog and red-green? If you play the Shifting Woodland combo deck, the Omniscience combo deck, you just get to like Woodland's Omniscience and win that way. And like that deck is really good against Dimir Frog because their deck is like a counterspell discard spell deck that Woodlands kind of mostly ignores those forms of interaction. I have a pretty good record against Dimir Frog with Woodlands. So that is a green-red deck that does well against it, but if you're, suggesting a different shell, you're probably gonna have a harder time. So I have 9 mana here. If I play 6, I think I'm 1 mana short of going 6 into... So 6, then this is 5. 1 mana floating. I want to play Ring and Karn. Yeah, so I think I'll just start off with the Ring. I want to plus Karn also, so that if my opponent devours my Leyline, if they devour my Leyline, then I can... my Karn doesn't die to the Myco Spawn attack. Take a backup Karn, I think. Yeah, so I'm just gonna plus here. Speaking of unbans, why do they seem to be rescinded to do so? When questioned yesterday, they keep saying they consider it, and it seems super strange. I answer this question pretty often, and I'm kind of surprised people are surprised about it. The opportunity cost of keeping something on the ban list is very low. It just doesn't cost Wizards very much to keep something on the ban list, but it is certainly much more costly to remove something from the ban list. And if it ends up being problematic or really dominant, that's a problem. So they're attacking Karn. So I need to sack the Karn unless I chump block with the Scion. But I just have another Karn. So go sack 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just concede, brother. I am super alive in this game. Maybe not super alive. Yeah, I mean, I just have to keep these 2 permanents, I think. Do we need Scion more than Karn? Well, the only way we can keep Karn is if we chump block with Scion. Is it only problematic to unban ever was Golgari Grave Troll? Haven't they had more success removing cards, i.e. Jace, Bloodbraid, etc.? I mean, you're just kind of missing the point, I think. Yeah. Yes, like when something like Golgari Grave Troll happens, it is a huge problem. It was a huge embarrassment that Wizards had to that they had Golgari Grave Troll banned. They unbanned it, and it had to be banned again. That was a very embarrassing, problematic thing that happened. That should not happen. And it is just much safer for Wizards if they choose not to do that. To some extent, sometimes it feels like when I have these conversations, people just, they hear what they want to hear. I don't... I'm just engaging the mana. Stop doing that. No problem. But yeah, I don't know. It's okay. But I'm not in control of this. I'm just telling you why they do it. You know what I mean? I'm telling you why they have this attitude. Right? Was drawing cards better than animating a ring since we drew the first land? I think we just had to sack 7 permanents. We need to rebuild. I think we need to tap our ring. I think there's a good chance we could plus on the ring this next turn. And then tap it to draw. Like, I am also in favor of more unbans. We've talked a lot about this. I would also like to see more unbans, but... I'm just telling you why they're, not unbanning things. Like, we could have drawn on their turn. Yeah, maybe that was better. I think the sentiment is players would have 5 good unbans, like preordained for every 1 Grave Troll. I agree. I agree that players would rather have more unbans. I would also rather have more unbans. But the question was, why are Wizards doing this? And I'm telling you why they're doing this. and which is why I got frustrated with you know the response there because it's there's I don't know. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't have been. All right, let's go next game. Yeah, I do think Karn plus on the Ring Luster, maybe that was the blankets there. I don't think you control the ban list, honestly. Just figured it was a relevant discussion since yesterday's. I appreciate the response. Piece of love. Yeah, it's okay. It's just yeah, I guess maybe some wire got crossed. I don't know. Also, chest 7 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Appreciate you. Isn't keeping the ban list short good? In theory, yeah. You know, maybe it's just kind of tough to be like, this is why Wizards is doing stuff in the same breath to be like, this is why Wizards is doing something versus what I think versus what the community thinks. They're all different things. I think there are like 6 cards that would be awesome on bans. I've been saying this a lot lately, but I think you could unban Twin, Pod, Umazala's Jitte, Punishing Fire, Bridge from Below, and Hypergenesis very, very safely. All of those cards. I think they would all kind of end up being similar unbans to Bloodbraid Elf, Jace the Mind Sculptor. Wizards doesn't want to do this because they are scared of another Golgari Grave Troll situation. They only unban stuff when they think stuff is stagnant and they feel confident that an unban will be pretty safe. A good example of this recently is Preordain. These things are both true at the same time. These unbans would be kind of safe, kind of interesting. Wizards is scared of unbanning them for another Golgari Grave Troll situation. And beyond that, it just kind of is what it is. No Karn. Hypergenesis has no upside, only huge risk. Well, the thing about Hypergenesis is that deck is like, it just feels really unfair for it to be on the ban list because Hypergenesis is like almost so much clearly worse than Glimpse of Tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like that deck is so much worse than Glimpse. So it just like, I think it would be fun for some players, but that like, boy, is Hypergenesis so bad. That archetype is there's just like no chance it's better than Glimpse. I think, but I agree. You could keep it on the ban list because there's no upside. See if our opponent has the turn 3 through the breach. So no through the breach this turn. Reveal a Talisman of Impulse. Then they play an Ugin's Labyrinth. They're at least thinking about imprinting something. They do imprint an Allah's Dust. Then they play a Talisman. And then they do nothing. Okay, so do I have lethal here? Okay, so let's say I play Indatha Triome, I sack Verdant Catacombs, I put 2 counters on the Scion of Draco. How much mana do I have? This is 8 mana, 9. The Nykthos is 7. So 9 plus 7 allows me to activate Bristly Bill 3 times. So 2 counters on Scion of Draco, it becomes a 6/6, double up to 8/8, double up to 12/12, and then double again up to 20/20. So it seems like we have lethal. Very elegant. 20 damage in the air. I reveal Gigantha. So we do have turn 2 Fanatic into an online Fanatic via Bristly Bill with a Surveil in the draw. Probably not a hand we can mulligan very well, but we might just get through the breach out of this. I'm on the phone. Where's the button to subscribe? I have to be on PC. I would really recommend subscribing on PC instead of mobile because both Google Play and Apple, they take like an extra $1 or $2 now. I think it's an extra $1 now. Whenever you subscribe on mobile. Yeah, I would recommend. Wait until you get home. I'll be okay. I want you to have that extra $1 or $2. Unless, yeah, I guess unless you have your Prime sub, then I think you can do it. Star Origin with the 16 months. Thank you so much. Hope you're doing well. Am I going to be able to activate Bill twice next turn? I don't think so. I'm 1 mana short, right? This is 1 activation, and then my Nykthos. I guess if I draw Utopia Sprawl, I could activate twice. Interesting that they wouldn't cast Stirrings first. I guess that implies that their hand is pretty juicy and confirmed when our opponent reveals all his dust. Save me the One Ring. Tap to Besage you. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if they have a double land, they can cast an Ulamog next turn. If I don't like Karn them, which I don't think I can, anyways. Just a setup turn. Yeah, it should be going on YouTube, Rick, but it'll be, I'm not sure how long it'll be. What's up there? It's also the VOD. So there's a double land, but they have to have Imprintable plus Ulamog. They do imprint the Emrakul here, but then they cast nothing. So does this mean they must have Kozilek's Command? I don't exactly understand how they must have Kozilek's Command because they would have cast it already. So I suppose it's more likely that our opponent is just flooding and they're giving themselves the opportunity to draw an Ulamog. And it's good that that's the most likely outcome because that's kind of the only outcome we're doing well in. So I kind of want to Stone Brain through the breach now. So I have right now 6 Devotion. So I am not able, I think, to do anything else besides play the card and the Stone Brain since... Oh no, I miscounted. Sorry. I think I just missed the Halfling. Although I think Halfling blocking Microspawn is probably just even correct. Oh, I also have the Umbral Mantle. I haven't done that today. I think I'm 1 mana short. There was no way for me to get more mana. But if I, yeah, so it's 3 mana to untap the Fanatic and 3 mana to cast this. So I'd be a mana short of combo killing here. So I'd just go for the Stonebrain. If this was an untap land to get there. They can hardcast Ulamog, would it be better to name that? At this point, we're beating hardcast Ulamog. And they have the Emrakul underneath the lab. So if we name Emrakul and they draw through the breach, it's pretty bad. Maybe they have Kozilek's Command. I mean, they did pause here. Could they have Kozilek's Command? I don't really believe it. Yeah, there's an Emrakul. Yeah, but now we get to just go probably this turn, chump block the Mycospawn, then Umbral Mantle, infinite mana on Fanatic, then play second Karn for Ballista. Or even just attack for infinite. Why would opponent play Visage in that deck? Well, it makes sure Kozilek's commands and Through the Breach is uncounterable, which is certainly pretty good in these kind of, or not, sorry, not these kind of matchups, in control matchups. But I think that they probably should be boarding it out in these kind of matchups. Seems suboptimal for Veils. This is tutorable with Sowing Mycospawn. Would the Mantle plus Fanatic package be useful in the Woodland deck? So the thing is, of course, that Fanatic has pretty high deck building restrictions. You have to have like 8 creatures that can make 4 power in your deck, which is just not most decks, you know. And so like the Woodland deck, I don't know how you would be able to meet the ferocious requirement very, very well. So I'm just showing my opponent that I have infinite mana and Ballista, and they give us the GG. Okay, so 3-2 or Devotion League, right in the sweet spot for this archetype, huh? Okay, so I'm going to pivot over to our backup deck today, which is Green-White Birthing Ritual. This